when I have a tape that my mother is singing Welsh, and then she's teaching Katie to sing this Bells of Aberdovey. And when Katie gets it right, Mother goes, ha ha ha, that's good. And then Katie goes, she was in kindergarten, Mother was doing this with her. And after we did it and Katie finally said, oh, Grandma, just sing Oh My Darling. she preferred Clementine. So that's one of our fun stories. I like this piece. That's on the beginning of a movie film, Empire of the Sun. Did you see that? And the boy singing, oh, that's so precious. That's so precious. And Lynn did you know Lynn at all? She wrote for Arturo for the Drick. And her writing is just like she's here talking to you. It's wonderful. Just a clear, natural style. All her memories of Wales. It's just wonderful. And she sang that Sewell Gone and she sang several times out at the Welsh Church. And all the Ash Grove, that's always a favorite of them, but let's see, David of the White Rock, you know that one? That's pretty. Burda. My name is Margaret John Hootman. My mother, Sarah Johns, and my dad, Lazarus, and my brother William and my sister Gwyneth came from Wales in 1914 and came to Colfax, Iowa. I was born in 1921 in Knoxville. But in Colfax, they came to be with my mother's sister, Hannah, and her family, and Aunt Margaret, her family. They came because there were the coal mines around there. And in Wales, there had been the strikes and people out of work for so long that family here offered passages and a promise of a job for the dad to come over here. So they left Wales and came to Colfax. After Colfax, they moved to Sheraton, then to Knoxville, and then that's where I was born in 21, and then to Tracy and to Pershing, another little mining community, and then finally in 1930 back to Colfax. Colfax was my hometown until 1956 when we moved over. My husband, Richard Hootman, and I moved over here to Iowa City. After I retired from working for the city as a desk receptionist, I took a genealogy course and began getting interested in writing down the family history. And of course, I had all the stories to tell about what my mother told, and so I started out with stories from my mother, and then, of course, this is my sister, and this is what they looked like when they came to this country. And now I'm doing a final compilation of the 3 Gwens that we have. We had the Gwenllian, grandmother, Gwyneth, my sister, and Gwen, my granddaughter. So we have the 3 Gwens in our family that we have histories to really appreciate. When they landed in Philadelphia, the immigration officer said, "You better put an S on that Lazarus John, or they're going to call you John Lazarus." Of course, in Wales, they'd always been the John family. So they put the S on it. Dad didn't like that idea very well, but they put the S on there. But I noted in my baby book here, when they wrote down the name of the family, it was Lazarus John and Sarah John. But later on, someone, my mother, I think, put the S on there, so it really is Lazarus Johns and Sarah Johns. And that was 1921. Lazarus, Sarah, William, and Gwyneth, G-W-E-N-E-T-H, August 12th. And then arrived 23rd of August in the port of Philadelphia. Mother sang that one only. She sang it on a higher key and sang it beautifully. The Ash Grove. My dad went to school at Penny-Grag, and they lived in Williamstown when they were married, and lived in Williamstown. And mother was born in Merthyr Tydfil, or Ennisshire, but up near. And but the Williams family lived in Merthyr Tydfil too. And but mother was here with me one time, and she said, "Give me a piece of paper and I'll write down where I was born," because nobody knows I was born in Ennisshire, Wales. So I did. I wrote it down and have it in her handwriting in the Bible now. He was a coal miner and came over from the South Wales mines around the valley to Colfax. But during the strikes times, he went to night school and started studying mining, engineering, and surveying. And when they came to the States, he continued his course. He continued studying by correspondence, and so he became a very fine surveyor and surveyed a lot of the mines around Iowa. So they had an article in the paper about how towns and streets were sinking where there had been shaft mines, and so they wanted to have the history of all. And so they got surveys of a lot of the mines, and they had these maps out at the geological station out here in Iowa City. And a friend took me out, and he pulled out the drawers of the maps, and I could tell immediately which one was my dad's just by the way the slant of the printing. They were just immaculately, beautifully done. And so we do have copies of those maps, but they are with the Colfax Historical Society now. I thought, I've never heard of Captain Morgan's March. I've got to find that song someday. And the next week, a friend sent me, I don't have the book that she sent, with that Captain Morgan's March in it. She bought it at a book sale in Arizona. And she mailed it to me because she said, "I know you like Welsh songs. There was Captain Morgan's March." Isn't that funny? How things happen. Now where's that little Welsh America? I love that. There's the Gwyneth Wynn watching the wheat.
Oh, I see.
That's that one. And Men of Harlech. I'll let you do that one. You can do The Land of My Father too. Oh, I don't see the bells of Aberdavi. Well, I give it one more look, and then I'm going to put it down. I'll look at the index. Oh, I guess I don't see it because it isn't in here. It's on, it's in this one. Bells of Aberdavi. The Ash Grove. There we are. Have you ever heard the Bells of Aberdavi? It's a counting song. very quiet person. The mother was sure outgoing, but Dad was a very quiet person. And but I think very strict, just and very religious, I think. But and they had quite a Welsh community. They had a Baptist church that was predominantly Welsh people going to that one, and they would have a Welsh tea every year. Up into the late 30s and things, they would have this Welsh tea that attracted a lot of people because there was a lot of good singing. In fact, Mother was sort of the Welsh interpreter in town for people that would get letters from Wales. They would bring them to her to read. But they spoke Welsh in the homes until Mother was about 10 years old and went out to work. She didn't get to go to school after 10 years of age, and then she started learning English. She had a very cheerful laugh, and she loved to sing. She sang all the time, Colin Lawn, day and night. If she wasn't singing, the neighbors would call, Mrs. John, are you sick? Oh, are you sick? No, but she sang beautifully up to here with me to the high G on the bells of Aberdyfi the week she died. She was here, and we have a picture of her over here singing in a little Welsh church in Wisconsin. The director picked her out from the audience because her voice was that outstanding, and they asked her to sing a solo that afternoon. And so we do have a picture of her singing that song, and she was so happy. She was and she sang with feeling, and no matter what, she didn't need the book either. She knew when there was a hymn that she knew the words. And my sister sang just as beautifully, and my brother too. We all sang when we had, anytime that we had a meal, our family gathering. As soon as the meal was over, to the piano my brother would go on beautifully, any song, any key, and there we had, and everybody singing. My brother understood Welsh, though, because he spent a lot of time with the grandparents, with Isaac and Gwenllian. And I know that he probably picked up Welsh from that. And he could sing it, and like the phonetics of it, he knew that. And he had a beautiful voice, beautiful almost a tenor, I think, tenor baritone, just beautiful. And one day the chef out in Oregon, I don't know whether this will be good on here, but the chef that was out in Oregon, his name was Jeff, I think, was studying, he was doing food culture, and he said, today we're going to do Wales, and we're going to have faggots. And I was sitting, and I said, oh yeah! And Jeff on the TV said, now don't say yeah. I don't know if you'll want to put that on the thing, but it was so funny because Dick's mouth dropped in mine because it sounded like you just had heard me say that. The ground liver with sage and onion in it. And I would have to eat one. But I could manage one as a child, but they weren't very good. But they would have all still put suet on them, so they had kind of a funny little tail or something on. But Mother and Dad listened, they liked the faggots. And then, of course, the old country cookies that were made on the griddle. Those were my favorites. I remember it all. But Dad used to chop up the mint sauce. We'd get mint leaves, and he'd chop those until they were very fine, and add the vinegar and sugar hot. Oh, that was so good. But that was mostly on the roast beef that made it. But that really was good. But I did have lamb the time we went over to Britain. We were out to eat, and I was going to order pork chops, and the fellow said, I think you'd probably be more pleased with our lamb. So I tried it, and I thought it was very good. Mm-hmm. My sister and a cousin and I went, and that was 1977. Well, it was wonderful, but of course it was the people that we met. It was the wonderful part of it, because we found cousins that we had lost, that we hadn't had any contact with after Dad died. And Dad died in 1950. This was 1977. But I took along the postcards and pictures that I had of the family, and got to Wales and asked for the information on trying to get their telephone numbers or something. And finally I got one number, and the person answered said, I'm not the John you're looking for, but I know who you mean, and I will go and tell them that you are here. They have cousins from America that they don't have a phone, so I'll go down and tell them, and then they can call. So the next day we did hear from them that this woman had gone down and told them that they had cousins in America in the hotel in Cardiff. And then they came to the hotel. And then we reestablished all these family connections. And when I played that right there did it. I said, I want this piano.
I see. Mm.
And I just love it. Just for my own amusement.
You do it every day?
Oh yeah, I play sometime every day. Just for, I could never be bored when I have a piano.
No.
And I gave a little girl across the street lessons when she was started. Oh, no, she's graduating from Ames this year.
Oh.
She can play better than I can now, but she picked it up with me.
Yeah.
And then she learned a lot in high school, but she never had a professional lesson, just me. So, and then I taught the little Mormon children that live next door here. I taught them how to play, and then they moved to Texas. So now I don't have any other students. But I want anybody that I would just. You want to learn to play the piano? Come on in. Villages of the Rhondda Valley: Tonapandi, Pennybrag, Pivot Vale, Triallo, Pontypridd, and Clonmezal, Town, Treorchy, Anasir, Shinapia, Penrickyver, Innisable, Williamstown, Murder Pittsville, Tredegar. Well, I just feel American, I think, but my sister would always say, I'm not Welsh now, I'm American, but I felt Welsh too because Mother was sitting here and telling me so much about Wales and how the hard childhood she had, because the mother died when she was only 3, and they said her stepmother was the meanest woman in Wales. I don't know if that was true or not, but anyways, they had a hard life after the mother died. And then, but she loved to tell the stories, and I've written them all down for the family history, that I'll tell them over and over.